It was 9 o'clock on a Thursday. A solid bro came to my rescue, covering my last few hours of work so that I could make a mad dash to the theater. The line was long, those waiting exuding palpable moisture, both because of the rain and collective pools of excitement forming in their loins. That's right! It was Force Awakens opening night, or pre-opening night, whatever. I was seeing it early. I was seeing it at 10:30 the day before, which was pretty sweet. It was pouring down rain, and there was a dude dressed like Kylo Ren who was just kind of looking at me. He was by himself. It was really nice. And that normally would have made me uncomfortable, but I really didn't care. This was the night. Opening of openings. Arguably the most hyped film of all time. I got good seats, and I threw on the 3D glasses and strapped on in for what promised to be the best Star Wars ever. Or, in actuality, really fucking not. I'm just going to get this out of the way right at the top of the order here. It's fine. It's a fine little movie. Go see it. Squee at all the things that you like and all the space battles. Live your simple little existence. It's fine. No one's going to judge you, not even me. It's a very competent film filled with all the things carefully and meticulously chosen to make you, the general audience, happy. The problem is that I, Chet Awesome Laser, am not the general audience. I'm the little bastard that drove his parents to depression and self-loathing by watching my VHS box set of the original trilogy in its entirety twice a week. For years. I'm also the little shit stain that decided to go to a non-accredited film school program in hopes that one day I too can make a Star Wars. And while the chances of that happening are, shall we say, remote, I do take pride in the small amount of knowledge that I have cobbled together through that experience and over the years of mass consumption of film. So here's the truth out there, ladies and germs. This isn't that great of a film. It's not even that great of a Star Wars film. Calm down. Take a step back and breathe. Please, for all of us in the world, just slide J.J. Abrams schlong out of your mouth and let's talk about this rationally, okay? It's going to be long. It's going to have lots of spoilers, but you're all adults, so fucking, strap on in. And I know that you are all going to hate me for this. But this is what happens when you give the undeserving, unfettered praise. I have to come down from my throne, high up my own ass, to take a shit all over the things that bring you joy. So here we go. First problem, if you want to watch this movie and it's in a better version of itself, you should probably just watch Star Wars A New Hope. This is the most common complaint that I've seen out there or heard from people in the theaters, but it kind of bears more explanation. This movie is A New Hope, and not just in the overall plot structure of the film, a plucky group of mismatched heroes banding together to destroy a doomsday weapon to save the galaxy from tyranny. It goes so much deeper than that. I mean, the first fucking 10 minutes of the movie are exactly the same, just in different settings. We open on a shot of a Star Destroyer that lingers, a shadow slowly extending over the planet, creating the exact same thematic message over the opening of A New Hope, representing the long reach and shadow of the Empire and its dominance over the weak. We then shoot down to Jakku, which is near as makes no difference Tatooine, where, due to sensitive information that the Empire wants, or the First Order, or whatever the fuck they want to be called now, it's the Empire, there's literally no difference. A bunch of stormtroopers kick the ass out of the completely outgunned resistance force. This forces a noted resistance fighter to hide said sensitive data in a droid that then makes its way across Jakku, to find a Force-sensitive orphan living day by day with dreams of grandeur who then gets thrust unwillingly to an intergalactic conflict and is taken under the wing of a wise old sage. Fuck it! Seriously, take my word on it. They're exactly the same films. Han is Obi-Wan, Rey is Luke, Finn is Han, Chewie is still Chewie, but less interesting. Even all the big moments are the same. The death of the sage, Han, spoilers, his bitchy little kid kills him. The conflict of the rogue who inevitably chooses the path of valor rather than cowardice. Finn, the whole movie, I'm gonna run away. Oh, but Rey's cute and captured. I can't run now. Got to do the right thing so we can make out. The desperate assault of a greater force, the cantina scene, it's all the same. It's just in slightly different and worse order, given that JJ's pacing as a director doesn't really lend to scenes that carry weight, which brings me moistly to my next point about JJ Abrams and his capabilities and style as a director, because with the obvious out of the way, we can get to talking about the real meats of the problem. I mean, the movie just being a reskin of A New Hope is annoying, sure. But we are talking about a movie with a budget of around $200 million. If you out there have not figured out that there is no way in hell a movie with that kind of funding will be a passion project created by artists instead of a carefully tuned product for mass appeal, marketability, and consumption, then I can't fucking help you. From the get-go, I knew this wasn't going to be something that was mind-altering or risky, which I might remind you the original movies kind of were. I knew that they were going to play it pretty safe, spending a lot of time bridging the gap, showing familiar faces, and making nerds feel included. However, I did not know to just how far of an extent this movie was going to go to play it safe and easy. I mean, if the world of film was a pool, and all the cool kids like early Cronenberg and Lynch films hanging out in the risky deep end, and movies like every summer blockbuster ever hanging out in the nice, safe, shallow end, Star Wars The Force Awakens wouldn't be even in the fucking pool. It'd be some fat kid with water wings sitting on the grass eating chocolate. Really, really expensive and profitable chocolate. So let's fucking break this down, shall we? The first major, glaring, annoying issue for me, the thing that strikes me so hard at my very core, is the fan service and pandering. Now, before your little fingers hit the comic keyboard and be like, oh, guys, it's got fan service in Star Wars, it's got Han Solo, you saw Han Solo in the trailer. I know. There is a big difference between relying on pre-established images and concepts to bridge the gap between one section of the franchise and another, and being outright lazy for the sake of easy money and mass appeal. I'm not mad that the old gang is back or that the end of the movie is an assault on a Death Star planet. Death Planet? Sounds way less threatening than Star, but it was literally a planet that shot sun lasers. Whatever, Death Planet. I am mad at the calculated, cheap, pandering bullshit that permeated this movie. Scenes and lines that serve no purpose other than to look the audience directly in the eye and reference things that have happened previously in the saga. Here's the scene that typifies this lazy-ass bullshit for me. The gang has successfully escaped some goofball teeth squid monster, the Falcon proudly soaring amongst the stars once again, and they gather around the lounge area, prompting Finn to fall and hit the table, turning on the holochess, or to Jarek, for those of us in the know about the nerd stuff, the holochess game. They all look at it, the little hollow monsters wrestle, and Chewie goes, and they turn it off, and they move on. Fuck that shit. You want to know why I say fuck that shit? Because fuck that shit. You want a better reason? Be fine. It's pandering to the point of insult, and it rides so close to breaking the fourth wall that it immediately takes me out of any immersion I may have built up to this point. It's J.J. Abrams yelling, hey, you nerds, remember this shit? It's a filmmaking equivalent of dangling keys in front of a baby. It serves no purpose to the plot or characters. It does nothing to expand the audience's knowledge of the universe, nor does it increase their investment in what's happening. It does nothing except callously play on the nostalgia of its audience. Both times that we see the holochess game in Star Wars, the holochess itself didn't serve much of a purpose other than being a neat little element added to a sci-fi universe. But the way the scene around it is constructed speaks volumes as to how shitty it is used in Episode 7. In A New Hope, the scene explodes with character development. We learn about the game itself. We learn that Han and Chewie are gamblers. Pretty serious ones, given that they have a table installed in their ship. We learn that Wookiees are sore losers and have the strength to rip people's arms off. We get great character moments like C-3PO's whole "let the Wookiee win" line and Chewbacca looking really smug with his arms behind his head. They used a moment around a cool little effect to draw the audience into the universe and tell them about the characters. J.J. Abrams used it so that he could point to a thing and go, hey, remember the thing? It's a thing! Remember! Love me! Instead of actually using the scene to inform us about the universe or characters. It's cheap bullshit filmmaking, and moments like this permeate the film. From the forced rehashing of old lines, oh, isn't that the ship that made Kith run in 14 pie socks? Says, nah, says 12, says Solo. And it's just to try and get nerds to look at their other nerd associates and give a knowing nod to one another, validated by the fact that they do indeed know this reference, and then JJ and Disney fill their pockets. And it goes beyond that. It's the continuous placements of little objects that serves only nods. I mean, it's just a fucking pander fest. But that's something that I personally hate. Some people enjoy the little nods. So let's get down deeper into a big, meaty chunk of what is really the problem here. J.J. Abrams and the way he paces and constructs things. Because I have news for you, ladies and gentlemen. The original Star Wars movies were not action movies. I know, right? I know! Your mind has been blown. No, ladies and gentlemen, despite the fact that conventional wisdom from Hollywood seems to follow the line of logic, hey, this shit's popular because spaceships and cool lasers, right? They shoot lasers, right? More of that and only that. But the original trilogy was an epic, with a lot more in common with a drama than seems to be remembered. Yeah, there was extended action scenes and epic space battles set to thrilling music, but the films were paced as serious character-driven narrative. Character-driven narrative. Character and fucking narrative. It wasn't a constant barrage of action loosely tied together by moments of characterization that were derived almost exclusively in smarmy one-liners. It had flow. It had pacing. It had people standing around and doing fuck all, which doesn't sound exciting, but oddly enough, a huge portion of the lines and references people make to the original trilogy happen in these moments bereft of action, in moments where the characters are merely interacting with their surroundings without a threat of a shootout happening at any moment, where characters are actually talking to each other like real people, conveying flaws and allowing us, the audience, to become attached and invested. I mean, one of the most iconic scenes in A New Hope is Luke looking out over the desert. The twin sons of Tatooine setting, gazing out across the sand, searching for R2-D2. He seems forlorn and tentative about what the future holds, and the music swells, tying the emotional package in a nice little bow. The movie slows down. It builds a moment and lets you drink it in. Man, it would have been cool to have some moments like that in The Force Awakens. This movie never stops. It's the JJ barrage. It's his understanding of how to build tension in film, not focus on characters, humanizing them and getting the audience to connect with them through well-crafted scenes of rising tension, but an onslaught of high-paced action intercut, as mentioned before, with characterization that is communicated almost exclusively in one-liners. The movie barely stops for a breath and just lets us, the audience, appreciate the world or the scene. JJ's style as a director is force-fucking your eyes at every possible turn and relying on the most scant moments of characterization to string along the action. And here lies one of my major problems with him as a director and this film. The reason why Star Wars is so iconic, why people are so attached to it, is because it is, at its core, a character study. See, the original movies were filled to the brim with actors playing a very specific character trope. But the difference is they actually laid out the trope, explored it, built it, so that we, the audience, could get attached to it, to understand it, to see ourselves within those character tropes. We went on a journey, not merely through the action scenes, but with the characters interacting with them. We understood the stakes in every scene because the movie took the time to build the characters as whole, real people. And that's where J.J. Abrams is a terrible director. He doesn't deal with arcs or expanded explanation of character. He takes what the character is, simplifies it down, explains it bluntly with a handful of lines of dialogue and actions, and leaves it as is. The characters in The Force Awakens don't feel real because they were never given a chance to feel real. The best bit of characterization comes with the introduction of Rey. Through the movie slowing down for 5 fucking minutes, we get to experience life with her. She's a scrappy, innovative person, risking life and limb on a harsh and unforgiving world, getting jerked over by the system but still maintaining control over much of her surroundings. We get the feeling she has dreams of something larger, and we see her look to the sky with a sense of longing. This is all done with almost no dialogue or action. It's how you fucking build characters. But then it's all thrown out soon after that as she's brought into the fold of the action schlock to meet Han Solo, who delivers all of his old lines, with Finn, who interacts with her in punched up, fast paced quips, instead of dialogue between real people. And every person in this movie, every person is awesome all the time at anything they do. They are built flawlessly. Not a single unlikable or not great thing about them. They're built like fictional fucking characters. Which is funny, because building your characters that way make them seem so unreal that it is antithetic to forming connections to them in what is clearly what is supposed to be a focused, character-driven narrative. If it was just simply an action movie, fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger flying around or whatever, that kind of shit flies because over-the-top nonsense works in that setting. It's not about the characters, it's about the explosions. It's not about a deep interpersonal drama that Jesse Ventura is having in his own mind, perhaps at his own home, or with his teammates on the chopper in Predator. It's about him yelling, "I'm a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus," or "I ain't got time to bleed." That is where that exists perfectly within the realm of just action, because it's about the action, not the characters. And unfortunately, Star Wars The Force Awakens is an action movie, but that's not what it needs to be. You know why everyone loves Luke, Leia, and Han so much? It's because they suck. They are people with flaws who often exhibit them, and they grow from them, overcoming said flaws, and thus forming a goddamn arc. Luke, he was such an annoying little shit for the first 20 minutes he's on screen. "But Uncle Owen, I'm gonna go to Pakistan and pick up power converters." I mean, fuck. It's like one of the most whined lines in history. But he gets better. We see him grow. He's resistant to the path put before him, but eventually he accepts it, becoming Luke Skywalker in the process. And we are there with him for every step of the journey. In The Force Awakens, the only characters that have an opportunity to have any development like that are Rey and Finn, which both happen around the same scene where they both shirk their calls to duty by old yellow alien lady, who, again, in a fucking example of lazy filmmaking, just explains directly to them and thus to the audience their character motivations. They have a chance to hear the call of duty and they turn around and they run. Finn from helping his friends and from the Empire, and Rey from her destiny as a force-sensitive person. But the fucking movie just turns it back around in 2 minutes. There doesn't pay off. Nothing happens. They just deny it and immediately accept it 2 minutes later. The whole "I'm gonna run" thing, it doesn't last, and they never touch it. Counter that with Han Solo in A New Hope. He says he's in it for the money and he's going to leave. And you know what he does? He fucking leaves. He's gone for a significant chunk of the movie time. So we, the audience, can actually get tricked into this concept of thinking he's really gone, believing that he is just a scoundrel with no redemption. And therefore, when he flies back to fuck up Vader and his TIE Fighter bros, it's exhilarating, instantly cementing Han Solo as one of the best characters in the movie. Finn just fucking talks to some guys and then has to change his mind because the Empire attacks. And that's it. It's just left. It's never explored again. Woohoo! JJ! And this is where The Force Awakens fails for me. Like I said, it's a fine movie. It's going to make millions of people all over the world happy, and I'm excited for the next chapter, and it's going to do its job as a product very well. Its job. That's what really takes the wind out of my sails about this. This movie is just filling a role so meticulously planned for marketability that it isn't allowed to stand on its own and exist proudly by itself. Nope. It's just showing up to do its job, to sell a buttload of tickets and merch and to keep people invested enough for the second one. It purposefully lacks complexity in its narrative and characters to make it as easily digestible for mass appeal and worldwide appeal as possible, given Hollywood's mainline focus on appealing to foreign markets as its main business practice. It ditches the character driven narrative focus for something that people worldwide can watch without investing too much thought into, without risking a lack of communication between an American filmmaker and a giant audience overseas. J.J. Abrams, in this sense, is the best director for the film. He knows how to get products to work. He knows how to make a story that uses a pre existing IP and sell it worldwide. However, what he doesn't know how to do is truly capture the Star Wars magic. To create something that stands on its own, not relying on pandering and cheap tricks to engage an audience, but engaging based on its own merit. It's a C. It's a shoulder shrug. It's an it was okay. When it has every chance and element to be so much more. So, to all the people out there saying that this is a perfect movie, I mean, you can keep thinking that if that's what you want. It's all subjective. This is just my opinion. Me out there sitting on my throne of nerddom, surrounded by my Star Wars comics. But I just want more from my movies. I can't accept that. I especially want more from my Star Wars movies. I want moments that will last with me forever, not just until I leave the movie theater. I don't want to be led down by the nose through a cavalcade of references. I want new things created and new moments that will be referenced on shirts and hats and dildos and hot dogs for years to come. I want to watch a film, not a product. So for now, I go back to being tentative about the future of the series. And before you all freak out, I'm going to go see it again because it was worthwhile and it was fun. And it even has some good Star Warsy bits in it. It just could be so much more. This is Chet Awesome Laser signing out.